Good afternoon. Welcome. I am Dr. Lucy Jordan, Associate Dean for Undergraduate Education here at the University of Hong Kong in the Faculty of Social Sciences. And I just want to welcome you to our first ever virtual information day. So I am joined here in the studio today with two students. Well, actually, one of them has just recently graduated, so she's half student, half graduate. That's Crystal right here. And then I've also joined here with Tony, who is entering or in his year 4 in the faculty, and then Ms. Winky Wu, who is one of the fabulous teachers in our experiential learning unit. So today, what we're going to do is deliver for you some critical information, some of the questions that you might have about what's the process, what's going on here at HKU, what kind of things can you study, but also, and importantly, I want you to have the chance to hear from people who really understand the kinds of questions that you might have. So that would be Crystal and Tony. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about the Bachelor of Social Sciences admissions, which is our flagship degree. You're waiting for me, sorry, okay. Okay. So the Faculty of Social Sciences, founded in 1967. We are over 100 professoriate staff, and we're also joined with a number of research and teaching staff, and also the fabulous administrative team members we have. We have a few thousand students on campus at any given time, 1,700 approximately undergraduate students, around 300 visiting or exchange students on an average year, about 1,400 top postgraduate students from all over the world, and around 240 research postgraduate students at any given time studying research in the cutting edge of social sciences. We have 6 departments in the Faculty of Social Sciences. So geography, journalism, politics, public administration, psychology, social work and social administration, which Tony is a representative of, and sociology, which is what Crystal is aligned with. Today we're talking specifically about the yellow bar, Bachelor of Social Sciences 6717 General Admissions entrance to HKU. As you can see, there are also a number of other admissions programs that we have, so you can find out more details about them in the chat room or in some of the bespoke talks for those degrees. Bachelor of Social Science 6717 BSocSc Science. So the first thing we really want to find out about is why choose to study the social sciences? So Tony, for you, what was the decision-making factor?
Yeah, I would say it's the flexibility and the rich learning opportunities I can have in the faculty. So when I was a freshman, I actually did not know what my interest was, but I get to explore different courses at that time. So I think the lucky thing for being a social science student is that you get to try out different courses, depends on your own interest.
Right, so the broad-based curriculum, so the general admissions here to HKU allows you to try out kind of anything and everything and then make the decision. Excellent, thanks Tony for sharing that. Crystal, what about you?
Well, for me, one of the special requirements of social science is that you are able to go on exchange and internship.
Right.
So for me, I really wanted to experience learning outside of Hong Kong, the culture outside of Hong Kong. But on top of that, this kind of gives you more of an experience, kind of broadens your horizon, and it really kind of benefits you in the long run.
Right. Excellent.
Yeah.
Anything else? What about the time and the freedom?
Yes, on top of that, I think that you have the time and the freedom to really explore and figure out what you really want to do.
Right.
And you don't have to, you're not stuck on one major once you've decided.
Right.
You're able to kind of change that even throughout.
Throughout the years that you're here.
Yes.
Right, yeah, and we'll talk about that a little bit more a little later. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing, both of you all. So when you enter the university as a social science student, there are going to be a number of different things you have to do, right? Yeah, so there's the university requirements, some of the English and Chinese language, and then there's all the disciplinary major requirements, and then the free electives. So anything stands out about the university requirements for you, Crystal?
Well, for me, if you can see the Chinese enhancement course.
Right.
I'm not very good at Chinese.
Like me.
Yes. And a lot of my local friends who are, born in Hong Kong, their Chinese is way better than me, and they told me it was difficult.
Oh, wow.
So I thought, if they think it's difficult, what am I going to do?
Right.
So very luckily, communicating with the faculty,
Yeah.
they allowed me to exempt this Chinese enhancement course,
Right.
and you can take another course in place of it.
Yeah. So the flexibility there, and also the tailor-made degree
Yes.
program, excellent. And Tony, what about you? Anything about the university or the disciplinary requirements that, from your experience, to share with prospective admissions?
Yeah, I think some of you may be curious of what prerequisites are in the disciplinary major. So basically, it means you have to take 2 more introductory courses from other disciplinary majors. So let's say if I would like to take politics as
Right.
my major, I may also need to take courses from sociology or social policy.
Right.
So I think social science subjects are quite related to each other. So it would be best for you to learn other subjects.
Right.
And it can help to expand your aspects of knowledge.
Right, right, excellent. So within the faculty, even if you have just one disciplinary major, you're going to have to meet these requirements with some of the other social science disciplines, and that's going to give you a nice broad base of knowledge, but also help you understand how your selected discipline fits in with the broader social sciences. Yeah, excellent. Thanks a lot for sharing that. And the majors and minors options. So I think sometimes when we look at everything, it can be a little overwhelming about what the heck am I going to do? So I'm really interested in hearing more about the learning journeys from Crystal and Tony. So when students enter into the faculty, they are going to have to declare at least one of these 6 disciplinary majors by the time they are in the end of their first semester of their second year. And so Tony, for you, what was that process like with the disciplinary major? Yeah.
So I determined social work and social administration in
Right.
the second semester of the first year study.
Right.
Actually, it's now called social policy and
Social development? Right, right. And did you know that's what you were going to study when you first came?
Yes. Actually, no. Yeah, but actually exploring in the way of my first year.
Yeah. Yeah, exploring, and then you decided on that. Right. Yeah, excellent. Okay. And Crystal, what was the process like for you with the disciplinary major?
Well, I knew for sure I was interested in sociology.
Right.
I wasn't sure if I wanted to do psychology, sounded more practical.
Uh-huh.
But when I did take the course, Soci 101, I
Yeah.
loved it, every minute of it.
Uh-huh.
So that was kind of, in my second year, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do sociology.
I'm going to do sociology.
Yeah.
Excellent. Great. So with the majors and minors, in addition to the disciplinary choices, there also are 6 multidisciplinary majors that you could choose to select within the faculty, as well as they could be minors. So we've got the criminology, neuroscience, urban governance, counseling, cognitive science, and media and cultural studies. Now, did either of you select a multidisciplinary major?
I did.
You did?
Yes.
Yeah.
I looked at the courses under media and cultural studies. They
Right.
sounded really interesting to me.
Right.
And I decided in my second or third year to make that my second major.
Your second major.
Yeah.
Right, right. Excellent. So in addition, though, right, to the double major, which is how Crystal chose her curriculum, you can also bring in 1 or 2 minors that are offered either by the Faculty of Social Sciences or by other faculties as well. So let's talk a little bit more about major and minor options. So there's, for example, if you enter in, Crystal, when she originally entered, was thinking maybe psychology, right? But then at the end of the day, she chose something different. She chose sociology and then added in that second additional major. So you mentioned about year 3, maybe you declared it. So how did you come to make that decision at that time? Could you tell us a little more about that?
Yes. Well, so in my second year, I had to declare a major, and I thought maybe I should kind of look for a minor, kind of, not just one major and that's
Right.
it,
Right, right.
So I started looking at other things, and media and cultural studies, the courses were very interesting. They were up my alley. And so maybe I thought this could be my minor.
Right.
So I declared that in my second year, but by my third year, I realized I only needed 1 more capstone project.
Right. So 1 more course.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I could make that my major, and I would walk away with a double major.
Right.
Sounds much better in my
Right,
opinion. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So up until the point of your second to last semester, actually, you can declare another major or minor, and so for you, that was a good choice. And I know in my experience from the years of working with lots of students, I find Hong Kong students are very pragmatic. So they often want, to get kind of the most value for what they are putting their energy and effort into. So more than one major, in my experience, is quite normative. But there also can be the option of bringing in a lot of different sources from minors. So for example, here we have disciplinary majors or multidisciplinary majors with different minor options. So with Tony, tell us a bit about your experience, please, and your thinking around it.
Yes, as you can see, my major is social work and social administration.
Right.
And I have also 2 minors in Buddhist studies and China studies.
Correct.
So I determined my major in the 2nd semester of the year 1.
Right.
But I was struggling to decide whether I'm going to have a double major or minors. So, so I tried out politics, counseling, computer sciences, or even linguistics.
Right.
But turns out these subjects were not my favorites.
Yeah.
It was until last year, which was my 3rd academic year,
Yeah.
I found Buddhism and China studies fit me well, and I really enjoy studying them.
Yeah, excellent. No, so again, another kind of journey about the flexibility, the time, the freedom for exploration, and the way that you can be quite creative about kind of making the decision ultimately how you want to put together your whole study plan with the base in social sciences. So what else about our degree, right? That's the experiential learning. So this is a really important part of our curriculum here at HKU, the social innovation and global citizenship. And I'm really excited for each of you to be able to share a bit with the applicants. But Winky, since this is your expertise, why don't we pass it over to you to talk about it, because you'll do a much better job than me, I'm sure. Yeah.
Thank you, Lucy. Yes, so social innovation and global citizenship is the flagship program under our Faculty of Social Sciences. It is part of the experiential learning. So the SIGC is constituting 24 credits. So it's equivalent to about 4 regular Hong Kong U courses. So 12 credits will be coming from the social innovation part, which is about your local experience in Hong Kong. So most students will choose to do a local internship, no matter it was a project-based or a placement-based internship. And then on the global citizenship, which constitute another 12 credits, we have plenty of options for you to choose. And most students will choose from doing an exchange or doing a non-local internship to fulfill this requirement. So Tony, I know that you have been conduct 2 internship to fulfill the SIGC.
Right.
So why would you choose this kind of combination?
Yeah, so as a social work and social administration student, I want to know how non-profit and for-profit sectors work for social benefits. So I spent my last year in an NGO called Kids for Kids that is related to children and youth empowerment. And I did my GC this year in the Department of Corporate Social Responsibilities in KPMG Shanghai. So turns out these experiences did let me learn how different types of organizations work and what are their strengths and weaknesses. And I would say this experience are quite meaningful.
Right. Can I just ask one quick follow-up question? So if you think about that, Tony, like what do you think is what's one lesson you took about how they're either similar or different? Do you kind of think like from the 2 internships? Does anything come to mind?
Yeah, I would say that like for non-profit sectors, they may have more practical skills in organizing how to organize events for people.
Right.
And for the for-profit sectors, they may be better in having the resources to give these resources to the NGOs to deliver the service together.
Right. Interesting. No, that's really, so you're talking about kind of different types of resources, actually sort of like the practical resources as well as kind of the professional knowledge and also financial resources to help make those 2 things complementary. Excellent. Thanks,
so Tony,
Tony.
you actually maximize your opportunities to explore different kinds of work and industry.
Yeah.
And for you, Crystal, I know that you went for exchange in SAT. So how was the experience?
I did. It was great. I loved every minute of it. It was very surreal. One day you're in uni, you're in Hong Kong. The next day you're on your own in a foreign country. And so this was one of the things that I was looking forward to. And I went to Canada in year 3, semester 1. And I went to Queen's University. And so I would say there's a very large difference in cultural culture of learning, culture of living, but you end up kind of staying close with those friends because you're there for 4 or 5 months. And a lot of my friends I met there I still keep in touch with, so
Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that you even tell your mom it is a compulsory element,
Yes, I
right?
did. I really did. I told my parents I have to go on exchange. This is the only way to get my credits, which is not true because I didn't transfer all of my credits back. I was unfortunate in this way. But because there are so many different ways you can do your global citizenship, your GC, you can do it through the CAES program where you teach English in Myanmar. You do this for a summer. There are a lot of
Right.
different ways that you can fulfill your credits for this.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
true.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yes,
Yeah.
and every year, actually, we are sending more than 300 social science students out to local community partners to intern. So we have more than 160 community partners that we work with. So these are just some of them. And I see that Kids for Kids and KPMG was on there.
Right. Yeah. Excellent.
And then also we have a lot of exchange partners. So Queens is definitely one of our long-term partners to work with. So you have many options to go exchange and fulfill your GC requirements.
Right, right. And those can be kind of like full year, 1 semester, but they also are like summer and winter study programs. And similar with the internship, right? There's a lot of flexibility again about how it's like the requirement you have to do it, but then how you do it is
Yes.
really kind of up to the student's own study plan. Yeah. So entrance requirements. Okay, so this is kind of what I call the nuts and bolts. You know, these are the kind of fact things that you want to understand and the boxes you want to check when you're doing your application, all of that. And I bet Tony and Crystal probably don't even remember that. So for JUPAS applicants, so Tony was a JUPAS applicant. And there's a couple important things to note here. So first of all, remember, BSocSc Science, which is our general admissions, 6717, it has to be a Band A choice because basically, if it's not Band A, currently, we don't admit. So that's really important for application. And then in terms of your category A and C subjects, we're gonna take the best 5, but we're also gonna exclude the M1 and M2. And interviews are not that common with JUPAS applicants, to be honest, and it's not a requirement usually. With the non-JUPAS applicants, of course, non-JUPAS can be, there's a bit more kind of diversity in this pool. So, you know, we look at different kinds of scores. So were you an IB?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so Crystal was an IB admission. So usually we're gonna be looking at 34 or above for IB. And then another really common examination that we have students arrive with is the GCA levels. And there we're going to be looking at 2A, 1B, which is going to exclude the English and the Chinese language, right? So remember Crystal had that tip about the Chinese language thing, because sometimes people, you know, worry a little bit about that. They think, the University of Hong Kong, you know, it's, you know, there's Chinese language. Am I going to, you know, is that going to be a real struggle for me? There might be some variations from year to year, but we're never going to be lower than university entrance requirements. And one last thing I want to say about that is, you know, if you are from India, for example, we have a number of admissions every year from India, and we have recognition of different kinds of examination. And that's the kind of thing you can go directly to the admissions office to ask about, or you can also ask in the social science chat room, and they'll be able to help you understand the particularities of the background examination system that you're coming from. Yes. What about after graduation? So Crystal, as I mentioned, is just recently finished, and so I want to ask her a few questions about what's happening. So the job market, yeah, what's that like for you?
Well, you know, it's tough out there.
Yeah,
but
it's a tough time. It's true.
But I was really fortunate. So I finished in summer.
Right.
In
So
2020
just recently.
summer. Yes, just recently.
Yeah.
And I'm currently in the process of getting hired. I'm getting screenings.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's excellent. Congratulations, Crystal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm in the educational institution.
Right.
So you can kind of see that, you know, you're not stuck in NGOs, the
Right.
stereotype of
what a social
sciences.
science degree. Yeah. So actually that's quite similar to about almost 20% of our graduates from last year. You know, we're having jobs across the educational sector. So, you know, from primary to, you know, to higher education. And, but actually we can see here that the largest share of graduates from last year, and I can say that this was fairly reflective of the last number of years. It's not, this is from 2019, but it looks very similar for the previous years. More than 50% is going to be working in commerce and industry. So actually, like Tony's example of his internship, the second one, but even both, right, kind of having that understanding about the relationship between the nonprofit and the for-profit sector. I think that actually is a good way to begin positioning yourself for the kind of likely job that most of our graduates have. You can see that another about 25% is in that more maybe traditional social science, so working in community, social, or personal services and the civil service in our graduates from last year. So as we wrap up this kind of more formal part of our sharing, there's lots of different things we could say. You can go look up there on the web. You see where we have the little sparkly finger pointing at teaching and learning, and there's a nice QR code to find out anything and everything. But I want to ask our in-house experts, Tony and Crystal, if there's one last thing you would say to the candidates about anything to do with admissions or studying here at HKU, what would it be? So Tony, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So my advice would definitely be plan in advance. So
plan in advance.
Yes,
yeah.
Although the university, you may have the freedom, you will have the freedom to choose to explore the subjects you like. It will still be better for you to learn the subjects you really like in advance, so that you can plan your course and your internship according to your own personal goal.
Right. So on the one hand, with the flexibility, which is great, you can explore things, but on the other hand, it's really important to kind of have plans and to make plans as you're moving along. And I could even say perhaps, to take advantage of the faculty and teachers, so to talk to the experiential learning unit early on, talk to Winky and her team, or to talk to your academic advisors or your student academic advisors, right? The students that sign up to be their kind of mentors answering questions, so you can really plan things out effectively for your academic career. Crystal, what about you?
I would say that you should really pick your major or your subject to match what you really like to do. Pick something you are really interested in or passionate about, because you're going to study this for 4 years at least.
Right.
Do you really want to be studying something you have no interest in just for the practicality when you come out?
Right.
I think that I really, really enjoyed my degree. I
Yeah.
loved it, and I still have a job. Well, I'm getting a job, so I think it turned out okay.
Exactly. Yeah. No. I mean, I think that's, and again, based on my experience with a lot of Hong Kong students in particular, like I said, practical, pragmatic. So sometimes students might feel like, oh, I should do X because it's going to give me a better chance for Y. But actually, what Crystal is saying is, follow your passion. Follow your heart, and the rest will fall into place. And that is one of the messages that we like to we hope that students might have the experience of, is that it's worthwhile to put your effort into the things that really make your heart sing like that. So thank you so much for your sharing with the potential applicants. And let's see, we now want to go to the Q&A session, right? So let's have a look at what kind of questions are coming in. So, okay, I see one here. Question 1. What kind of non-academic activities I can enjoy at HKU? So who wants to answer that question? One of you want to jump in?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I would say you can definitely enjoy different and many non-academic activities in the life in HKU. So for me, I joined like singing contest.
Singing contest.
Yes, sing.
You like to sing?
Yes.
Okay.
Esports and gun shooting, even gun shooting. Yes.
Gun shooting?
Yes.
Singing and gun shooting?
Yeah, there are a variety of activities provided by different societies in HKU. And you can also join different societies like student ambassador or other schemes.
Yeah. So there's lots of different things you can try out, like things maybe you enjoy and things that maybe you've never even thought about trying out. So why not give it a go while you're here? Yeah. And Crystal, what about you about non-academic activities? What comes to mind?
Well, for me, I lived really far away from HKU.
Okay.
So the first
local
thing,
student, but you live far away.
Yes.
Yeah, because you might as well have lived across the border. Okay.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to live in halls because to my limited knowledge, I thought it was just a dormitory. You know, it's a living space, you can make friends there. But when I really did join, I realized it was more than that. It really is a commitment to the hall. It really is kind of, you form your own community there.
Right.
You take part in, you know, cultural activities, sports activities, and you really form a kind of tight-knit community with the people there.
Right, right. Yeah, no, and I think, so it was actually, I think for many students, the hall life is an important part of the life of the university that they're thinking about when they think, I'm going to university. And you're right, from my experience with my advisees, for sure, I've often heard that, you know, it is like, it's almost like a parallel university experience. And, you know, there's tons and tons of activities and different things going on. And, you know, that really does form, another sense of community that you develop while you're here. So, okay, question 2 up here popping up. How, big one, how my study will be affected if the COVID-19 pandemic remains unstable this next year? So I think, you know, we've already had COVID, you know, response going on since, well, really since January, right? You know, since right around the Chinese New Year when things started shifting. We had that 1 week of class, right? You remember? And then, Chinese New Year, and then boom. So, I think I could speak about kind of going forward, but mostly I'm wondering, what has the experience been like for students? So, you know, so for Crystal and Tony, you know, what are some of, I guess, the highs and lows of, you know, sort of life as a student during COVID that you'd like to share with the applicants?
Yes, since the university now is adopting the hybrid teaching mode, so some courses may offer face-to-face teaching as well as online teaching.
Right.
So for some courses, you can go to the campus, or you can just simply attend them through online.
Right.
So for me personally, I actually like online teaching because I don't know why, but it just gives me the courage to speak out loud in the chat room box.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know, again, I have found this with students for sure that. Surprising to me, some students that I never hear from are much more participatory when we're online. And so actually that's been one of the kind of positive side effects of going online and hybrid, and, you know, which is an interesting thing that we might never have known if we hadn't been coping with education and COVID. So, so what about you, Crystal? What, any tips or, you know, kind of feedback about your experience?
Well, as I mentioned earlier about my exchange, I didn't fulfill all my credits.
Correct.
Which means I had to do a global citizenship, or GC, at home.
Right.
In Hong Kong.
Right. So you could graduate.
Yeah, so I could graduate. You know, I was very nervous. You know, I was calling up the faculty, can you help me? How am I going to graduate on time? But very luckily, they helped me figure something out. And I ended up doing a local internship.
Yeah.
But it had a twist on it because it was focused on the global citizenship.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I was very lucky that I could graduate on time.
Yeah. Well, so again, I mean, I think, you know, it's what I hear there is this thing about the flexibility, even, you know, in the time of crisis, right?
Yes.
So, you know, kind of helping to respond, and, you know, that's, you know, so it sounds like overall it's been okay. Yeah. I don't know, anything else that you can think of to add about the pandemic? Yes.
Speaking about global citizenship, because many students will be worried about, because it's a graduation requirement, and during the pandemic it's impossible for you to go out really to exchange. So for example, Crystal was doing the GC at home. We were offering like a global citizenship at home, where you can do a local internship at an international organization for really some international project. So last summer we have people going to do like migration and then interview migrant workers, for example, like that. And speaking about that, I know that Tony, your plan was disrupted because you planned to go to exchange before.
Yes, unfortunately, I was planning to exchange this spring, but you know, COVID hits, and then I had to. I have no choice to cancel my exchange. But luckily, thanks to the faculty's arrangement, I got the internship in Shanghai this year.
Right.
Yes.
But actually, this coming summer, sorry, it was not happening for the last summer. But in the coming semester, we are actually offering virtual exchange, so students have higher flexibility of arranging their GC requirements as well. Yeah.
So we're continuously adapting, you know, and coming up with kind of new things. And I think one of the things I find exciting about it is that we're able to get instant feedback too from students about kind of like what's working, what's not working, and to really try to be creative in our problem solving. So another question here. Okay, so do I need to choose the major when admitted? And and secondly to that, the student or applicant says, I'm still not very clear which subject I might particularly be interested in. Well, let's see. Okay, I'm going to have a go to start, and then I think maybe I'll see what any tips that Crystal and Tony have. So students do not have to declare any major at admission. And in fact, you don't even need to do it during your first year. You have until the first semester of your second year, your year 2 studies. And by that time, you do need to declare at least one of the 6 disciplinary majors, right? So those are the geography, politics, public administration, psychology, sociology and China studies, and then social policy and social development, which is the new disciplinary major in social work and social administration, which is the degree that Tony is graduating from. So by the end of this first semester of year 2, you need to declare at least one of those majors. So that's kind of the take-home point about the way major declaration goes. So Crystal, or Tony, I think actually, we're going to go on to kind of giving some experiences from Tony. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm in control. Okay. But, oh no, I don't have control.
Yeah, like,
Sorry, guys. I thought I was in control, but I'm not in control. That's okay. So talking here about about declaring a major and admissions. So Tony, what stands out to you about that from your experience with major declaration?
Yeah, like some of like I just said, I'm just like some of you that didn't know what your interest was. I was exploring my majors and minors during my university life.
Right.
And turns out there are many choices that you can have in the faculty. Like you can do a double major or minors, even from other faculties.
Right.
So it basically is your freedom, and it is very flexible to choose whatever you like.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. So one thing to add on is that the university actually prefers English as the medium of instruction. So for some of you may think English is your weakness, you may want to improve your English skills because there will be lots of readings and presentations on the way if you would like to take social sciences.
Right. Yeah, and I think and that is a good way to enhance your English skill and confidence, because I think that's one of the things I would often see is that usually anyone admitted, you have the skill because you have to have the skill to be admitted, but it's the confidence, I think, about getting comfortable with presenting oneself both in written and oral form. So Crystal, what about you? Anything to add?
Well, I think that I thought, again, so psychology,
Yeah.
it's more practical, but I also think that, sorry, what was the question?
The question is about,
right.
Remember declaring,
Yes.
yeah, that's right, declaring admissions or declaring majors at admission. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was kind of confirmed on the sociology part. I knew I wanted that to be one of my majors.
Right.
And in my second year, okay, I'll do a minor, expand what I can, like my skill set.
Right.
But by my third year, I just had to do one more capstone project, just one more project.
Right.
And I was able to make that a double major.
Right. So there, I think, what I'm hearing, which maybe is of interest to the applicants, is that you have to declare that disciplinary major during the second year, but you have up until the second to last semester actually to finalize, either a double major or bringing in some different minors that way. So and you can still do all of that within the four years of study, plus meeting the requirements for the compulsory internships and exchange programs. And I love what Crystal's example is that she thought she was doing her global citizenship through her exchange. Of course, she wanted that exchange no matter what. That was one of her passion about studying. But then, actually it worked out that some of the credits couldn't be transferred, but then she was still able to fit in another internship, to meet those requirements and graduate on time. So, there's a lot of flexibility and ways for you to piece together the requirements. So I see this question a lot from potential students. So will you accept my application if I put the BSocSc Science, Bachelor of Social Science 6717 outside of Band A? And so the simple answer here is no. but I'll give a little more detail there. So with the JUPAS applicants, to date so far, we have only admitted Band A applicants, and this really has to do with the competition for the slots that we have. While we admit a number of students every year, we're actually not a huge program in social science here at HKU. I mean, that's one of the things I think that's really nice about our degree program, is that you really have a chance to get to know everyone while you're here, to know the other students, to know the faculty, to know the community. So while it may be a different size than some of the schools that some of you attended, it actually is kind of a small community at the end of the day, which I think really gives our students a unique learning experience. For the non-JUPAS applicants, in general, we're going to give preference to those that are ranking our degree as their first choice. So I say in general because, again, there's always some kind of things on the margin where there might be some exceptions one way or another. Okay. Psychology is our largest major currently here and is very popular. And I think we have a perfect example here. So Crystal said psychology was actually kind of what she thought when she first came into study. And so let's think about this. If Crystal had applied to HKU and we didn't have general admissions, she'd applied to psychology, which you can't do that at this stage. She might have been locked into something that wasn't actually what she really wanted to do. And this is one of the, for us, kind of selling points of our degree is, we really believe in the broad-based education in the social sciences and the fact that what we think we might want to do might not actually ultimately be what we find is our passion. So I think that was kind of what Crystal's experience was. But needless to say, most of our applicants are going to be interested in psychology. And so what I want to stress is a few things. Yeah, you can have a psychology and another major or a series of minors. And even within the faculty, some of the things that you might choose to do would be to kind of make a creative and emphasis on some aspects of psychology with your degree by partnering with one of our multidisciplinary majors. So you could have the major in psychology, but then a second major in criminology. So maybe you're interested in like forensic psychology. You're interested in kind of the psychology of criminality.
Actually is the only university offer criminology as a minor.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So it's like you could take criminology as a minor and then even top up like with another minor as well. If you were wanting to kind of get maybe you wanted to do like criminology and then a minor in another social science, actually, to understand, say, maybe like a sociological perspective, which is looking at kind of the way that the structure of society influences criminology. So there's some really interesting ways that you can put things together like that. Another option, though, is we have multidisciplinary degrees in neuroscience and also cognitive science, which can be ways that you could dive in more deep to some of the biological aspects, to do with psychology. And so there really are, if you're interested in psychology, which means you're like a lot of our students and a lot of our applicants, we offer a number of unique ways that you can tailor that degree to give yourself sort of a deeper knowledge and also be more pragmatic that way, like I said earlier, taking advantage of all that you can get for what you're giving in terms of your degree study.
Okay,
you want to take this one? Yeah, look at that. Yeah.
This student is asking if internship is compulsory and what kind of internships I can choose. Yes, for BSocSc students, it is compulsory for the SIGC experience. And we have plenty of options. You can choose internship and you can choose other, for example, exchange or research internship. We have all kinds of different kind of program you can choose from. And also, every year we have about more than 400 paid placement, while we're having about around 300 students going to intern. So you can imagine we have like a more supply than demand. So you have a large pool to choose from, ranging from maybe HR, maybe research, maybe politics. We have all kind of different interest that you can fit in. But if you feel like I have a particular interest in other internship, and you can apply through the student initiate internship. So every year we have about 10 to 12 students. We'll choosing the student initiate internship where you can apply for internship that outside of this pool and to claim for the SIGC experience.
Right. So if you have some idea, something that you really want to do, or some organization you really want to work with, then you can come to you and put
Talk
together
to
a
us,
proposal. Yeah, and do something tailor-made for yourself. Yeah. Interview. Okay, when is the interview? So let's see. Let's come back to our in-house experts first. Crystal, did you have an interview?
I did.
You did. Okay. Tony, how about you? No. Okay. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, to me that's kind of, that I would almost expect that response, because the interview is not required for JUPAS, and in fact, very rarely do we have interviews for JUPAS. But I don't want to say never, because, you know, upon occasion, for different circumstances, we might. For the non-JUPAS, again, it's not required. But in my experience, often the competition is quite keen, because we tend to have sort of a bigger pool of JUPAS students that we admit to the pool of non-JUPAS, but you know, it varies a little bit from year to year. So therefore, the competition amongst the non-JUPAS might be a bit higher sometimes, and because of that, we might then need to have some interviews, because we need a little more information to help make a decision, which could of course be the case from time to time with the JUPAS as well, which is why we say basically not required, may happen, and in my experience is slightly more likely to happen with the non-JUPAS students. Yeah. So this is kind of related to that, actually, this next question. Maybe it's the same person. I am a non-JUPAS applicant, and is there any quota? So there's, Crystal, you have a view on this? Yeah, Crystal told me earlier. You want to go ahead and tell them?
Well, they say there is no quota.
Yeah.
But I think there's a little bit of a quota.
Right, okay.
From what I see.
So, yeah. So again, in terms of policy, there is no quota set between JUPAS and non-JUPAS. You know, we have certain places that are available. So for this upcoming year, places available for the combined pool of JUPAS and non-JUPAS is going to be 179 for the first year entry. But you can see combined, so sometimes there might be slight variation. You know, maybe one year we get like a really, really excellent pool of either JUPAS or non-JUPAS, and so we might decide we want to admit a few more of one, but that would mean then that we'd have to make some flexibility on the other side. So, you know, we do have a bit of flexibility that way to kind of respond to the circumstances. There's a lot more details about all of the kind of, you can drill down and get all the specifics if you go to the admissions office web pages at the central aal.hku.hk website to find things out there. This is another question. I love this. When I first came to Hong Kong, which was 8 years ago now, the HKDSE admission score for BSocSc Science. So of course, first of all, I didn't even know what the HKDSE was, because I was not from Hong Kong originally. But you know, similar to many places, so Hong Kong has its own kind of secondary school diploma examination. And Tony, did you take the HKDSE?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So Tony was an HKDSE student. You were an IB student, right?
Yes,
yeah. Yep. Yeah. So the expected admission score for JUPAS applicants in 2020, for reference, is going to be at least 24 marks in the best 5 among category A or C subjects. But the caveat is that excludes M1 and M2. So I don't know, again, Tony may not remember. It's probably quite similar when he applied, but I don't know. Do you remember?
Yeah. The average marks for the best 5 is usually around 24 to 26.
Yeah. So around 24 to 26. Yeah, excellent. And again, you can find out more details there if you go to the aal.hku.hk website for admissions. You want to take this one, Wink?
Yeah. So this question is about financial support. Is there any financial support to join the exchange program? So yes, we do have a number of scholarships and sponsorship opportunities available, so that we can provide you with financial assistance. And actually, the IAO, which is the International Affairs Office, will also assign appropriate scholarship to students according to your financial needs or academic standing. So if it's possible, also they will let you know once the application is successful as well. So we do have financial support if that's what you would be concerned of.
Right. Yeah. So I think again that's been my experience, which is there's at the faculty, but also at the international. There's different levels of scholarship, and there even are sometimes different scholarships. For different aspects of studying across the university, things that, in my experience, you also want to kind of keep your eyes open. There might be a poster somewhere, or also talk to your senior students. They might know about some different things. They're often, contrary, I think, to what we often might think, there's often a lot of scholarship opportunities out there, but the question is like, how do you find them,
Yes.
and then, how do you kind of position yourself, best to go after them. And one of the things that we didn't touch on as much a little earlier, I just want to make a plug for, is that for the exchange opportunities, there are faculty level exchanges. There's actually even some departmental level exchanges, and there are university level exchanges. So there's a lot of different opportunities and different programs, and some of those programs come with scholarships as well. So there's kind of this wide range of different opportunities around exchange. And then there's also the dual degree programs, which was something that we didn't talk so much about, again because I think it wasn't part of Crystal and Tony's experience. But the faculty has a couple of different dual degrees. So there's the Faculty of Social Science dual degree with the University of California, Berkeley. And that is going to have a special admissions thing you're going to need to pay attention to. And if you are admitted into that program, you're going to spend the first 2 years here, and then you're going to go to Berkeley for the second 2 years. So, actually, this happened before that, but the president of HKU actually was at the University of California, Berkeley for a long time, and, he is now here. So we have really strong ties with UC Berkeley, which is part of the California university system, but it is a world-class institution and has a lot of real strengths in the social sciences. We also have a dual degree with Sciences Po. So French institution. Now the application procedure for that is a little bit different. You're going to apply actually through Sciences Po, and then you're going to go there first and then come here. And I've had the opportunity to have some of the students from Sciences Po and some of my undergraduate classes, and I've found, they're really, really interesting and students, and I think bring a different element of kind of diversity experience to HKU. And then there's one other dual degree program. Yes, I'm just making a little plug for these things, which is the dual degree program, which is the BSocSc Science plus Master of Arts in Geneva. So this is a program that you come in through 6717, a BSocSc Science General Admission. You study here, and then you apply while you are a student here. So that's something you don't have to make a decision about today. But my experience says if it's something you're interested in, you want to be planning, like Tony talked about from early on, about your course of study, and how you're going to kind of arrange things, position yourself best for that in terms of your internship opportunities and things like that. And then if you are lucky enough to be one of the 3 students that is admitted to that program, so it's very competitive, is you would complete your 3rd year here at HKU, and then you would go to Geneva to do 2 more years. And you have a year of the graduate study and then a year of an internship opportunity there in Geneva. And you exit the program with your Bachelor of Social Science from HKU and the MA degree from the Institute there in Geneva. So those are some of the dual degree opportunities that we have, which is in addition to all of the experiential learning and different opportunities like that. So from the Q&A box, here we go. What kind of jobs in specific can be done in the commerce industry after graduation? Yeah.
I think maybe Tony can speak after, maybe because you've already been to like some for-profit organization. But from my experience, many of our students, just like our internship, they will go for HR, for psychology students, and then some of my students went to, for example, consulting firm after they have done like ESG reporting. And then many of the commercial side departments have their ESG and CSR departments. So these are really the good fits for our graduate as well. So maybe Tony, do you have any?
Your internship, what was that in CSR?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
could you tell us a little bit more about that experience?
I think working in CSR, basically you will use your knowledge to to design some social activities for people in needs. Yeah, so I think basically that's what CSR is.
Yeah. So I think, I speak a little bit about that from my experience, where increasingly in the last maybe 10 to 15 years, the private sector, right, has had this big focus on developing kind of their corporate social responsibility arm, and that indeed I think that is a very interesting kind of niche where a social science background can be really useful for that, because you have the training about these issues to do with social need and social intervention, and it's also kind of understanding how to kind of diagnose social problems, like what's going on and what kinds of solutions are needed. So some of those skills can be really useful, as well as as Winky said, about the HR field for sure. Right. Okay. So the double major program, so you can complete your double major in 4 years. Yes, and that is interesting. So this person is asking, could you finish in 3 years? So Hong Kong University is a 4-year degree. So I say that right just because, well, I think it was 2012 when we switched from the 3-year curriculum to the 4-year curriculum. And so I very rarely, I don't know of a student that exits in 3 years, put it that way, unless, if you are a DAS student coming in, after you've done the first 2 years, then you might complete in a shorter period of time. But yes, basically you'll finish the double major in your 4 years that you're here. Student majors in psychology, can you pursue further studies and a career in counseling? One of the things that I see often with undergraduates is that many psychology students choose to double major, either in counseling or in one of the other multidisciplinary studies, which we mentioned earlier, like the neuroscience and cognitive science. Now, with an undergraduate degree in psychology, again, I'm going to be, blunt from a professional perspective. Further studies, yes, but a career in counseling, I don't know. Like at the bachelor's level, that's not necessarily going to be the case, and that is not just about HKU. That is kind of about the profession globally. But while you are studying in psychology at HKU, you're going to have the opportunity as part of your formal curriculum to work closely with different professors in different kinds of experiments in social psychology and other aspects of psychology. There also will be a lot of optional ways that you could get involved in different kinds of things going on. And if you do a degree in the counseling, in social work and social administration, you also will get the opportunity to do some facilitated learning that involves actual working with groups or working in community organizations. So I think when you were a student, you will get many opportunities to get involved if you're studying psychology or related studies here that could help you with positioning yourself for further studies and an eventual career in counseling. The percent of international students, yeah. So generally speaking, our student body at HKU is about 80% local and about an undergraduate, and about 20% the international or non-local, what we refer to as non-local. And then that mix again varies about like where those students are from, and kind of there's, but we in any given year we're admitting students from Greater China area, so from mainland, from Taiwan, Singapore, as well as students from Southeast Asia, so Indonesia, Malaysia, South Korea. I see quite a lot of students that come to HKU from South Korea, and then also from Europe and from North America and other parts of the world. So that's, again, just my experience, but in general, we've got a broad representation of students from different places. Okay. So yeah, the dual degree program with Berkeley is something that you need to do at this stage. So what I mean by that is you're not going to apply for it after you enter HKU. So you need to be admitted, in order to be admitted for the dual degree program, you need to be admitted to both, right? And the international office has the information about the application procedure for that. And there's kind of a special process. You have to, I think, go to their website, and it's like an international program admission for the Berkeley dual degree. And it's pretty straightforward once you go in there to look. But again, if you have any questions, you can go to the live chat with FOSS, or you can also contact the central admissions office anytime at HKU, and they'll get a response to you quickly. Okay, if I choose a psychology and criminology as double majors, or minor and major, then what would be your career options? Okay, I wish that I had one of my colleagues here, who kind of works at that interface, but I will do my best to answer the question from where I sit. So I think, in my mind, if you put together psychology and criminology, you're getting yourself trained, with the breadth of the the psychology degree, which is, going to give you all of the study, of the mind, of psychological behaviors, psychological, illnesses, and then you add in the criminology component, and you're giving yourself that understanding about both. Different kinds of psychological factors that might influence criminology or criminal behavior, as well as you're getting an understanding about kind of the interaction between, sort of the environment, that might either be facilitative or also preventative around, criminality and criminal behavior. So you're bringing together, those aspects. And I think, from the psychology and criminology, again, I guess it would kind of depend on, what's your interest. I could see somebody that is putting those two degrees together, might be drawn to some aspects of, if you think about the chart we showed you earlier, the sort of social, personal services, so kind of like nonprofit work, either it could be like a kind of preventative programs, say like with youth at risk, like youth empowerment, something like Tony talked about, but of course it could also be, more like working directly with like the criminal justice system, to kind of understand, like the types of things that are going on, with either potential offenders, or, trying to deal with community behaviors. Are there any internships that come to mind about? Yes,
yeah,
excellent.
I was going to talk about, if you're really interested in maybe thinking about psychology and criminology, actually we do have some internship out of my mind was thinking quite fit for you. Actually, we have two disciplinary force was our collaborator partners. Yep. So the police and then the fire services department, they are offering they're offering internship position at their psychological services unit.
Interesting.
That means you will be able to work with their clean side.
Right.
Yeah. So you will be able to expose to the area and think if that's kind of the career that you were looking for, or is it something that you would like to try and see if it fits. Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, and that's because, say with the fire services too, what stands out to me about that is an interesting point about kind of the first responders, right? So it's like you don't always think about the fire service as being kind of like part of criminal justice, right? But actually they often are the first on the site for certain types of things. So those are some really, really, I mean, it makes me want to be a student actually. I'm like, can I do it?
Come.
Yeah. So, well, let's see. I think we're almost out of time, which, wow, it went by really quickly. So, are there any kind of final thoughts or advice or anything you might want to give to the potential applicants here, either the students or Winky?
Well, I would say that don't be shy. I think that you should really reach out to the faculty, ask as many questions as you can, because they're really happy to help you.
Yeah.
Especially with my experiences, a lot of COVID situations, they
Right.
were very happy to kind of facilitate me and kind of make my life a bit easier.
Yeah.
So I would say really communicate with the faculty.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think that's a really good point. I mean, I can say as a faculty that, to be honest, I love it when students reach out to me because, well, and then I know who you are too, and then I can write you a better letter, a better recommendation letter. Like if I don't know who you are, I can't write you a recommendation letter. Yeah. So Tony, what about you?
I would say just come. There are lots of opportunities here. Just come.
Okay, just come. Well, thank you all, the three of you, for spending this time on this, what now has become a lovely Saturday afternoon. Thank you to all of you all for joining us, via the virtual, mechanism. We really hope to get the chance to meet you in person. If you have any more questions, feel free to contact us, and welcome to join us in the class of 2021. See you later. Bye-bye.
See you guys around.